I'm really excited for this game this weekend. We got Kentucky on the road taking on Texas A&M. Kentucky is one of my favorite teams to watch in the sport of college basketball this season. Texas A&M was one of my favorites coming into the year. They have not lived up to their expectations, but I thought they showed signs of life on the road against Auburn on Tuesday. Ultimately, that became an 11-point loss with some late kind of breakaway dunk type stuff. But for the most part, that was a one-possession game with 4 minutes left. And I think this Texas A&M team is starting to figure it out, and more importantly, starting to show signs of desperation, which is really, really scary against a team with as much youth on the road in SEC play.
Yeah, I mean it is a team that needs a big win at home versus a team that I think needs to continue making statement road wins as they continue to develop and get more experience, because the last two big wins, right? UNC and Florida for Kentucky, big wins, looked like an experienced team doing it, but especially the Florida one, maybe a little bit closer than they would have liked. And I think if they can go and beat this Texas A&M team, which is probably a more talented team with the same experience advantage that Florida had over Kentucky, I think that would go a long way in continuing to motivate these young players for Kentucky. So both teams, I think, are in a situation where they feel like they have to win this game. In reality, I think Texas A&M needs this win more than Kentucky does. But obviously, this Kentucky team is looking like it has the potential to be the best team in the country right now. So,
yeah, this is one of those spots where, like, if Kentucky finds a way to win this game, then I think we're on here on the recap being like, I don't want to see this team ever in any setting. Like, they just keep kind of adding notches to their belt of like, we are destroying teams and doing things that we're not supposed to do. The Florida win was a really good example, right? Like, I thought they played pretty poorly for long stretches of that game and just overcame it with their talent. The sports books have opened up. Texas A&M is a 1-point favorite at home. I thought we might catch them as 1-point underdogs. That's where I would have guessed the sports books would have set this. But ultimately, it's a pick 'em, essentially, and we'll see where the public moves that line as this line has just opened up. I have a feeling people aren't going to be able to avoid betting Kentucky in this spot, though.
yeah, I think Ken Palm has them as a 1-point dog, Texas A&M as a 1-point dog in this game, home dog in this game. I would bet Kentucky. Kentucky's quickly approaching, and they might already be there, but they're quickly approaching my personal favorite to win the national title.
Wow.
And I think this game, if they can make a statement in this game and not just kind of eke one out, I think they might cement themselves
I could see that.
as the national title favorite for me. They're a team, they don't turn the ball over a ton. They shoot the ball efficiently. You mentioned it, Texas A&M has looked better recently, but they're still a team that doesn't shoot the ball well, and relies on their offensive rebounding really to win games. And I don't know, given what we've seen from Kentucky and the pieces that have come in midway through the season, or the piece I should say that came in midway through the season, I don't know if the advantage on paper from a rebounding perspective that Texas A&M has on the offensive end is as big, given what we've seen from the development of Aaron Bradshaw over the last, couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's baffling for me with Texas A&M because they're not that different than the team from last year. Like some teams or some programs that had like a lot of success and have hit some road bumps early, you can point to like, here's what changed. Like, why did Maryland fall off a cliff? Okay, Hakeem Hart's out, Donald Carey's out, and they replaced them with guys who straight up cannot shoot the basketball. I don't really feel like anything massive has changed for Texas A&M. Like they're shooting the ball horrifically poorly, but they were pretty bad shooting the ball last year. Like this kind of just is who they are. They're still really good on the offensive boards. They're still fine defensively. But all in all, like you look through what they did last year, it never fully made sense to me. Like if you go up and down the schedule of how much success they had in SEC play, they only lost 3 games in the conference season. But if you look at some of their wins, they flirted with disaster plenty of times. Like they beat Florida twice by a combined 5 points, beat Vanderbilt at home by 6 points, Auburn at home by 6 points, single-digit wins against Missouri, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama, Arkansas, like every single game was like they're finding a way to do it and winning a close margin game. And good teams do that. Don't take anything away from them. Good teams, especially with good guards, tend to do that. But I don't think it should be shocking to anyone that some of these results have flipped for them this year while they look like a similar team. And part of that is because Wade Taylor has really struggled lately. He's shooting 25% from three-point range on the season. That's down a whole 10 percentage points from last year. His assist rate is down from last year. His turnover rate is up from last year. And if you just look through his recent games, he was 2 for 16 from the floor against Auburn. He was better in the loss to LSU, but man, he has had some stinkers in some of their losses this year. Wade Taylor versus the Kentucky guards is the matchup for me. And if that's the matchup to watch, how confident are you that Wade Taylor at home can win that matchup?
Not very confident. I think the reason why we saw Florida almost knock one off is because it was guards versus guards, but Florida had more of them than I think that you can rely upon than I think Texas A&M. I think one of the things that you can look at with Texas A&M this year versus last year is last year they had multiple guys you could put the ball in their hands. Even if they went to the line, you knew they were going to be just knocking down their free throws, right? Dexter Dennis, Tyrese Radford are both over 77% from the stripe. Obviously, Wade Taylor shot like 88%. So you had guys you could multiple guys you could rely upon to make those shots. This year, it's just Wade Taylor, who's not shooting as well from the line. Tyrese Radford's ability to get to the line, let alone make those shots, has gone way down. Like this is a team that I think is so much different. Like it doesn't feel like they have the same level of aggressiveness that allowed them to get to the line as much as they did last year, this year. And I think that's ultimately hurting them. I mean, last year they were the top 5 team in getting to the stripe. And this year they haven't done that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I want to be with you. Like I really want to just buy this Kentucky team super hard. And I think they're a big game team. Like you look at some of their best performances this year. North Carolina, they played really well in the neutral. In the end, I was impressed. Their second half against Florida was really impressive to me. First half, not so much. Miami, they just ran them out of Rupp. Rupp, you expect them to do that. But even the first half against Kansas was like, oh, Champions Classic, we're here. Kansas is the favorite in this game. And no, it was Kentucky who outplayed them early before they let that game slip. So I do think I don't think there's going to be a letdown ever for Kentucky on the road. I think you're going to have to go get them. You're going to have to go outplay them. The only thing I would say is I actually do think Texas A&M can do that. And the biggest reason why is because I think the Texas A&M's best strength is rebounding. Kentucky is probably, that's the only place they're vulnerable, right? Like maybe Kentucky doesn't generate a second chance opportunity in this game. Maybe that buys Texas A&M an 8 to 10 point swing. Maybe Wade Taylor gets his head out of wherever it is. And instead of going 2 for 16 from the floor, he's like 8 for 16 from the floor. And if that happens at home, I think sooner rather than later, whether it's this game or not, I think Texas A&M is going to start to win some of these bigger games. Let's do the prediction. I think we might be on opposite sides. Are you going Kentucky to win the game?
Yeah, I'm going to go Kentucky to win the game by 3.
Okay, close game though. I like that. I'll take Texas A&M by 3. Which means whenever you and I make predictions, we're both wrong. So somebody's going to win by 20 here. And I just don't know who that is. We'll have to see. Okay, that's Connor Hope from Heat Check CBB. I'm GregWaddell from Sleepers Media. We'll have recaps up later this weekend after all of these great games are done. Click subscribe so you can see them all.